So it hasn't even been 3 whole months, yet there has already been a brand new FNAF teacher. Now, it is not confirmed that it is a FNAF teacher. I don't think there is a FNAF teacher. Actually, no, there is. There is a FNAF teacher. I forgot her name. Where's her name? Tell it to me. Put the name of the FNAF teacher on there. It is not confirmed that this is a FNAF teaser. In fact, I very nearly dismissed it for that exact reason. Because this teaser came from none other than Leon Riskin. If you do not know who Leon Riskin is, he is the mastermind, the composer of most of, if not all, of Five Nights at Freddy's soundtracks since, I want to say Sister Location, I might be wrong. No FNAF World. Editor Jaffa, you're going to have to fact check a lot of this because I'm recording this late at night and I was not prepared to have to do a news video at all. I'm very sorry. Am I even in focus? I'm not convinced I am. I wasn't in focus. No! This is terrible news. Leon Riskin is a composer for many things. So when there was a bit of upwind that he had made a little teaser about an upcoming project of his, I was like, just because he composes for FNAF does not mean a project that he is composing for is automatically FNAF. And I thought this without checking the teaser. Why? Because I'm an idiot. That is why. Also because, like I say, I don't tend to use Twitter that much. I prefer Blue Sky. It is a lot less hateful. And I only ever go on Twitter to check in on what's happening with Bendy stuff on the Meatly. And that is about it, really. I very rarely go on Twitter these days. It is far too right-leaning for my taste. Then when I was checking through my YouTube notifications earlier, trying to find a good video to watch, I ended up settling for some classic Dan TZM, in case you're wondering. I saw at least 3 different notifications, all like, oh my god, there's a brand new FNAF teaser. So I decided to check it out, and lo and behold, it was the Leon Riskin teaser. If we go onto Leon Riskin's official Twitter page, we can see first teaser from the project Forgotten Names and Faces. Who will catch you when you fall into the abyss? Okay, something that I noticed whilst editing, and I'm sure most of you probably noticed this immediately, but Forgotten Names and Faces. What could that acronym possibly be? What popular things could possibly have the letters FNAF as their acronym? So there's a good chance that the next FNAF game is going to be called FNAF Elegant Surrender. Let's hit play. Forgotten Names and Faces, Elegant Surrender. Now I don't want you to focus so much on the words, but more the tune. And now if we play this track from Help Wanted 2, sounding familiar? So now we kind of have that connection to Princess Quest because it's the exact same motif. So my whole thing of it's not a FNAF teaser, he's a composer for many a project. Yeah, we can say that. Goodbye. So remember Princess Quest, keep that in your mind, put that in your back pocket for now. And let's go on to the second post they put in there, which was an extract from the poem Abyss. Now I'm going to read this through, and then I'm going to go through all my thoughts for all of this. Abyss. In deepest, darkest depths of my despair, I find myself without a saving grace. A pendulum of pain prevents my prayer from rising upward through the dead of space. Within these walls a where no one wins, repeats itself just like a worn-out rhyme. No swain should e'er succumb to swine's sins, for he does the crime, must do the time. And yet there was a time I loved her true, and in those days we dreamt without restraint. These merry memories now make me rue a life I should have lived with more constraint. For now I dwell within this cursed abyss, a mournful soul who misses her sweet kiss. So as you may be able to tell, this is a poem all about having regrets and having guilt about a past, and especially towards the end, regretting not living life the way one would want to. Now, who could this possibly be about? Obviously, Abyss is not made for Fnaf, but why is it that Leon Riskin has posted Forgotten Names and Faces, Elegant Surrender, with the backing of the Fnaf Help Wanted 2 Princess Quest 4 motif, and then posted a poem about regrets, about past memories. Okay, another thing that was bothering me whilst editing was Leon Riskin's use of ... It was really boring because at first I was like, it's just him putting a little page breaker, a little ellipsis. But it just felt so specific. And so I had a little hunch, I put it into a Morse code translator, and it says, see? I think this was just a little bit of a joke because the post that this was on was the same post. They had the hashtags, no more obvious hashtags, except credit to Tom Woodliff, and then the photo with the excerpt from Abyss, which is the poem by Tom Woodliff. So maybe that's something to do with Fnaf, maybe that's a little teaser. I don't think it is, but in case you too were bothered by there being Morse code on the post, or what might be Morse code, there's a very good chance it's not. It is just dots, but on the off chance I did put it into a Morse code translator, it just says C. It's like, C. Let's assume that this post, this excerpt, in deepest darkest depths of my despair, I find myself without a saving grace. Let's assume that quote from Abyss is in fact to do with this post from 2 days before it, with the Princess Quest 4 motif. Let's assume that those are together giving hints towards the next Fnaf game. Who could it possibly be about? To me, there's only two logical, well, I guess three, but I think the third one is very much pushed, and I only just thought of it. There are three characters that I think this could possibly relate to. One, I feel quite confident on. I would presume a lot of people would jump to. A second, I think could work, but not as much as the first. The third one, I highly doubt. So obviously, number one, Vanessa. In Securus Reach, when we beat all three Princess Quest games, we free her soul from the restraints of Glitchtrap. And that is, to me, what that would jump straight out to, especially with the poem. Because my second and third, Cassie and her father, they don't feel to me like they would fit it much. The first bit, yes, in deepest darkest depths of my despair, Cassie did get trapped in the deepest darkest parts of the Peaceplex, but I don't think it's meant to be quite that literal. It is a poem. Poetry is not very literal in my experience. Not living life to the fullest and having regrets, that feels very strange. That's a very strange choice for a child. Personally, I think this is talking about Vanessa. Forgotten Names and Faces are, to me, that would indicate maybe some amnesia, some memory loss, to do with the mind in some way. Elegant Surrender also feels like, out of my three options, very much feels Vanessa would fit that, because we don't really know how she became under the influence of Glitchtrap. Obviously we know through Help Wanted and playtesting it, but we don't know the actual what was going on through her head. I think because of Reluctant Fleur. This is why we don't record these videos late at night. Elegant Surrender. She's a reluctant follower, so maybe she decided to give herself up to Glitchtrap. I don't know, I'm spitballing here. Maybe it means in a different way, maybe it's not relating to Vanessa. Like I say, up until hearing that motif, I wouldn't have even assumed this was to do with Five Nights at Freddy's. And then the whole poem, to me, feels out of the three, Vanessa would fit it more. The whole despair thing and the whole being in the depths of despair and needing that saving light feels very much Vanessa, and especially when she was under the persona of Vanny, needing to be saved by Gregory. Within these walls, a war where no one wins. To me, if I would have to pinpoint a moment of FNAF that could relate to, I would personally pick a Help Wanted ending where we are trapped in a cell. Glitchtrap waves to us, and he kind of backs off to God knows where, really. I don't have VR, so I don't know where he went. To the bathroom, maybe. To the back rooms. That'd be kind of funny. Glitchtrap in the back rooms. There is probably animations of that. I must do that afterwards. So if this truly is teasing the next 5 Nights at Freddy's game, what could this possibly be? Now with Cassie, I think if we were going to have another game following her, I personally would quite like to see it as the antagonist. I know a few people have mentioned having her as Vanny would be really cool, and I think that would be epic, especially if we're playing as Gregory again. And I think Chloe's Imagination did a really cool design as well for her. Edit me, put that little comic, don't worry screen, wherever you see fit. I still think that Cassie is worthwhile bringing up to do with all this poetry and stuff, and these 2 posts by Leon Riskin, but I'm not convinced. And I don't know if it's just because I'm really hopeful that we do get a later game with Cassie as the antagonist. Partially just because Vanny just feels so wasted, and we need to see Vanny in action in some way. And what better way for everyone to win if Cassie has a little villain arc as Vanny, and Gregory has to save her? I think that'd be quite cool. Cassie's dad, I only mentioned because it literally came in my head as I was talking about it, so I don't think... Also, I think Cassie's dad is probably dead, to be honest. If I remember correctly, in Ruin, if you look at the mask bot, which in one of the endings, you become mask bot, as in one of the endings of Help Wanted 2, you become mask bot. There's a brain inside of his head, which, first of all, very weird. I'm assuming it's like a metaphysical brain and not a literal brain, because I don't want to think about how that got in there otherwise. If it's literally a brain inside a mask bot, it'd be cool, but don't want to know how it got in there. If Vanessa is the protagonist of the next 5 Nights at Freddy's game, I think a way that they could do it is maybe having a prequel. Again, I just really want some Vanny content, but also I think it would be really cool if we have a game as Vanessa, kind of as Gregory's freeing her, and like she's got like, I'm trying to think of a good way if there's anything I compare it to. Like throughout the game, she's actively being freed from the control of Glitch, but I think that'd be a really cool prequel idea. I highly doubt that they would go that route. I think if they were to do a prequel for Vanessa, maybe it'd be as Vanny. Again though, I don't know how they would go about that. I think if they do a Vanessa game, I think the most likely chances that it's going to be a sequel. Then I don't really know how they would do that. That's what's odd. Like, I think we know who it could be. I don't think we have enough information at the moment to know what could possibly happen. Personally, I think what would be a really cool sequel idea is if we have Ruin 2, maybe playing as Vanessa or Gregory, or both, maybe having multiplayer as, like, one player as Vanessa and one player as Gregory, but them working as a team to free Cassie, who is Fanny and under the control of Glitchtrap and the Mimic. I think that'd be a pretty cool sequel game. Again, I don't think we have much information. I've actually talked for a lot longer than I thought I would be able to, actually. I don't know how much that is me rambling and forgetting my sentences halfway through. So, it may be a really short video. Anyway, I'm gonna go because it's late. This is probably gonna come out like a day or two after I record it. So, if I'm like a week late, forgive me. I'm currently recording this about 4 days late as it is. So, if it ends up being like a week late, I'm sorry. I just didn't think it was Fnaf because I didn't play it, and also I don't use Twitter. But if you do want to follow some socials, well, this YouTube channel is highly active. Weekly videos, in fact, and for the month of October only, there should be daily videos. I'm actually in the process of editing them as I speak. In fact, I was just getting done editing one when I saw all this stuff with Leon Riskin and a possible Fnaf teaser. So if you're interested in weekly Fnaf content, I'm here, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye for now.